So, as far as the private club goes, is this like a behind the scenes session in a non-censored environment where we can talk about it whatever we want? So I'm trying to think what people would most like to hear a week after hearing the main show, which is what this would be.
Right.
And I think probably if I was guessing what they would most like to hear in a couple of minutes, just as a kind of teaser before they get into it more, start working on it, buy the CDs, whatever they need to do, is again, whatever you can say. This is difficult because we're talking about things that don't really fit into words. It's like you have to chop them down to fit into the language compared to their original essence. And one of the key principles that would be good to try to capture is taking things from that part of your mind where you're looking at a single frame of what you would like to see reality, that you're going to put into the cycling, versus where it goes when you put it into actual use.
So are you asking me to speculate about what I think actually goes on?
No, speculate about how people do that.
Well, in terms of technique or in terms of what happens when they do it?
I'm trying to get a hold of where they send this image, because the conscious part is more clear.
Yeah.
People are aware of what they do consciously more or less during the day.
Right.
And so if they want the what was it, a red Tesla in the show, they know or can easily figure out how to picture how they feel driving it, looking at it, whatever works for them. That's conscious. But then where they send it, we didn't say much about that.
Oh, heavens, yeah. But I don't, this would be, I don't know that there's a place that's being sent to, or it's being sent to a future. And my guess is that it's being sent to a future.
But that future is a concept within the mind, right? It exists within the mind, or you couldn't send it there.
No, I think it actually exists.
In an actual future somewhere.
Yeah, and I suspect that there's multiple ones all at the same time.
Are they, like they said in Terminator, one possible future?
Well, I've never seen Terminator, but it sounds right. So I think there's probably a future where I have a red Tesla, and there's a future where I don't.
Okay, and the person making the choice is you.
The person making the choice is you're choosing which. This is obviously speculative, but you're choosing which future you want to be in.
Well, that's what I just said. The person making the choice of which future you want to be in is you.
Yeah.
And but moment to moment.
And when you get there, and what's the mechanism, seriously past my pay grade. So I'm positing under pure, absolute, I got nothing to back it up, speculation.
Right.
There are multiple futures coexisting.
This is where we decided our foundation of good, mutual, clear communication is that we're both completely incompetent.
Yeah, that's the strength.
Yeah.
But it's I can never plant the flag and show you any evidence for this whatsoever, because what I experience is I'm putting a red Tesla on my list, and suddenly I have a red Tesla, and it coincidentally happens. How that happens, or whether anything changes, whether I get the red Tesla, maybe even the wrong way to think about it. It may simply be I move into a future where I have the red Tesla.
Exactly.
There are other futures where I don't have it, and
Yes, and what's determining it somehow is in our hands, or your technique would never consistently work. And so it seems like what it's saying to us is that moment to moment, we're making decisions not just on the conscious level, but on the level where everybody's doing something like cycling all the time, in the sense that they've got that subconscious area of the mind, whether they know about it or not, and things are going on there. And we may be making a decision by default, moment to moment, about what the future is going to be.
What the future is going to be, and again, that might be the wrong way to think about it. I don't know that I don't know that what's the future going to be is meaningful. It could be which one are you going to.
In other words, the
Infinite
futures
branches.
all exist.
Yeah.
But which one you're going to visit?
Yeah. So if you look
Is
at it,
your option.
infinite branches of permutations, there's probably some rules, using that loosely, whereby you branch off that way versus branch off that way.
Right.
And right now, it's speculating. I don't have I got nothing, in terms of what that might be. So I do have a suspicion that the future is pulling the present rather than the present pushing the future.
That's interesting.
And so where I latch on is the place towards which I want to be pulled.
What about the people who don't know about doing this consciously? What's pulling them?
Oh, probably the same thing. I think, all of my stuff are gimmicks. They produce interesting phenomena, but they're gimmicks.
Yeah.
I don't think what I'm doing is, if you take out the gimmick, what do you got left? You got nothing. People using their own method of getting through life or through the day or through the week.
Yeah. And what I'm suggesting is that they may be aware of the conscious thing, like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to go apply for this job.
Yeah.
But they're doing something related to cycling at the same time by imagining with feeling that I'm not going to get the job.
That's daydreaming, that's wishing, that's doing all that.
No, I'm saying they're not even aware of it.
Oh, yeah, they may not be aware of it. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, so that those things may be going on all the time.
Yeah, and they could be powerful.
It could be everything.
It could be what you're replacing with the conscious cycling.
And the conscious cycling is only conscious insofar as it's set up.
I mean the intentional cycling, okay, that you're not aware of while it's working. Or it's in the background.
It's in the background.
But it's replacing what's the default background that may be bringing you all kinds of trouble.
Maybe, or it's adding it on, and we got a harmonizer, and and the limitations may be in the harmony, and I don't know.
But it's really interesting to even become aware of the questions.
Yeah.
Even though we don't know the answers yet.
Don't know the answers. So that's why I'd say, basically, cut to the chase. I don't understand how it works. Something interesting goes on, and but it's not a panacea. It doesn't solve all. I mean, life doesn't become without bumps.
No, but it may be the tiniest sample of what is possible.
It might be. Yeah, I don't. If you look at the extreme examples of anything, whether it's healing or otherwise, some really bizarre stuff goes on, and the way that most people, I think, deal with that is that they put blinders on. They don't want to look at it. But if you ask what's possible, it's really asking what's the farthest thing that you've witnessed so far. So I've heard stories of medical miracles that are just too much. I can't take it. I just start flopping on the floor. I can't take it.
Well, but you don't flop on the floor in terror. You just know you don't understand. That's different.
Oh, heavens no.
Because we've been trained to believe and to put into practice that whatever's unknown is scary. And that's totally not crazy. Necessary.
I mean, if whatever's unknown is scary, I would never get out of bed.
That's right. I mean, it might be too dangerous to get out or to stay in. But we also don't know that there's a finite number of optional futures. They might be almost unlimited.
Maybe unlimited, but because they're unlimited doesn't mean there aren't rules to go from one to the other.
Yeah.
You gotta get the tracks to switch, go over that way instead of going over to that way. I
suspect everything has very specific design principle requirements. And the reason I think that, and I don't know that I'm right, but I have the feeling that if it wasn't that way, the universe would have crashed a long time ago.
And that's possible.
Planets running into each other and all kinds of stuff.
Yep. And there may be infinite universes.
Yeah.
They are running into each other.
Or a whole bunch of them at least.
And running into each other and crashing and burning and not burning and...
Yeah, all according to very specific parameters. Probably.
Everything. No, not according to every specific parameters. The parameters may alter also.
I'm not saying fixed.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm saying they exist.
Yeah. So every metaphysical system that's tried to come up with this is reality has always been short-sighted, myopic.
Yeah. Well, they don't get the incompetent principle, a lot of them.
No, they don't. They don't. They don't.
That would lead to great enlightenment, I think, to realize that we know nothing.
We know nothing. We know nothing. But it's interesting and it's fascinating. I have no idea why anyone would be afraid.
Yeah, well, it's totally optional, and they don't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and in fact, because your system of cycling is really based on a critical element of emotion, even though it's put into subconscious once it's going, not only fear, but other emotions are all optional too.
All of them. And it's not just emotion, it's also want.
Well, want is a desire, which is emotional, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have no emotion, you can't want anything.
It's focused then. Then it's very concretized.
Right, right. But that can only be done because it's optional.
The stuff that people want, the way they think about things they want, is usually phrased in such a way that it's non-threatening, has no content whatsoever, so you're safe. So I want to be happy. I mean, that has no meaning whatsoever.
Especially if there's no emotion with it, I suspect, right?
It has no, it's nothing that's real. It's nothing that can be real. It's nothing that can be realized. But I can sit around and go, poor me, I'm not happy.
Well, right. I mean, especially if it goes with a deep belief that you're not going to be happy, then things are going to happen.
But you haven't asked for anything if you're wishing for happiness.
And in a way, it's all a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? As long as it's coming from a deep enough level like the cycling does. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're willing to stay in touch. I think it'll be exciting.
Absolutely. So
see where it goes.
We will do so, and I hope this works for you.
It does, and we've given you 8 minutes to do whatever you want before your next appointment.
8 minutes. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I may take a trip. You know, who knows?
That's enough time for a vacation.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. I'll see you.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you soon.
Thanks. See you guys.
Yep.
Okay.